Welcome back to MacKay's Biology 30 online lessons. Today we're talking about the stages of fetal development. Yesterday we left off talking about the menstrual cycle and the feedback loops of the hormones. And if there was no fertilization, then the corpus luteum breaks down, progesterone and estrogen levels drop, which causes FSH levels to go back up, and the whole cycle starts again. But what if there is fertilization? In that case, what forms is called the zygote. Fertilization is the union of the egg and the sperm forms the zygote. The zygote, and you can see from this diagram, very, very quickly becomes an embryo within a day. That embryo starts producing a hormone called HCG. HCG, or human chorionic gonadotropin. Chorionic, make sure I spell it right. Gonadotropin. Hopefully, again, this is a reminder that you're taking some notes from these videos. You can pause it anytime you want. So that zygote becomes an embryo. That embryo produces HCG. HCG is a hormone produced by the embryo that has a feedback loop towards the corpus luteum and makes the corpus luteum stay active. It does not degenerate. Therefore, it continues to make progesterone and estrogen, which continues to suppress FSH and LH, and continues to allow the endometrium lining of the uterus to thicken so that this zygote or embryo can eventually implant. The next step in fetal development after embryo, or as the embryo is forming, is called the cleavage stage. Cleavage is defined as cell division without cell growth, meaning the overall mass of cells, if we look at this diagram, this mass of cells in the 8-cell stage is the exact same size of this blastula stage, which has many, many cells in it. The purpose of the cleavage stage is so that the cells can start to divide. The surface area to volume ratio gets smaller, so it's easier for them to take in nutrients. But remember, the zygote is fertilized usually in the fallopian tube of the female reproductive system. Because it still has to travel down the fallopian tube, it can't get bigger. If it got bigger, then it has the potential for getting stuck in the fallopian tube and not making it to the uterus, therefore not implanting in the uterine lining or the endometrium. So that's the reason for cleavage. From cleavage, the next stage is called the blastula stage. And the definition for the blastula stage, you can see it up here, is a hollow, fluid-filled ball of cells. A fluid-filled ball of cells. It's the blastula stage where implantation happens. Implantation occurs approximately 1 week after the zygote forms, after fertilization. So it takes about a week for that zygote to move its way down the fallopian tube into the uterus and implant in the uterine lining. Again, every pregnancy is different, of course, so they average it to be about a week. The next stage that we're going to cover is called the gastrula stage, or gastrulation. It's the gastrula stage where differentiation of the cells begins. So your first quick little assignment I want you to do is I want you to look up what totipotent means. What is a totipotent cell? Figure out the definition for that word. Just going to go to the next card where I've got the blastula again. Remember, this was the hollow or fluid-filled ball of cells. Two main sections you need to know. There's an inner cell mass. This is what will eventually form the embryo, which will, of course, eventually form you and I. And the trophoblast. This will form your extra embryonic membranes, which we will cover on the next lesson, the next video. Extra embryonic membranes. Okay? To the last card, we left off with gastrulation. Gastrulation forms your 3 germ layers. Your 3 germ layers are your ectoderm, your mesoderm, and your endoderm. Basically, this is a whole bunch of infolding, of the blastula. You can see gastrulation. You can see these cells start to move inside, and they continue to move inside. And this is color-coded for us, where we can see the endoderm are the inner cells, the ectoderm are the outer cells, and not shown here yet, but soon will be, are the mesoderm, or the middle layer of cells. Basically, a human being is a tube within a tube. If I was to take my big samurai sword and cut you in half, what I would get is a tube within a tube. We're a donut. The inside section, I use a different color here. My blue line, this inner lining, inner tube, is our endoderm. The cells or the body parts that arise from our endoderm, again, we're about a week and a half into fetal development here. The endoderm cells become our digestive tract and our respiratory tract. So the tube inside of us eventually forms digestion and respiratory system. The outer tube, which I have shown here in green, is our ectoderm layer. Our ectoderm layer will eventually become the things on the outside of us. So think skin, most of our nervous system, nails, hair, stuff like that is what forms from our ectoderm. And in between all that, I'll color it in black. All of this stuff in here is our mesoderm. And our mesoderm layer, the easiest way to think about it, becomes our muscles and bone, blood cells, and a few things like that. But if you can think muscles and bone, that's our inner layer. So we are a tube, big green tube, surrounding a little blue tube. Inner tube, outer tube, and then the stuff in between. Yes, that's right, we are a donut. Tomorrow I will pick it up for fetal development past the gastrulation stage. That's it for now. Have a good day. Bye.